anybody can take a good picture. Like there's so many incredibly beautiful photographers, like anybody can do that. But what can you do that sets you apart? You need to really tap into what exactly is that thing that they need that they don't have that you can help them with. I remember when I told you about this, landing this account, that you got teary-eyed. Like
I'm tearing up right now.
Sometimes we just overthink. I believe there's only two answers to things, either hell yes or no.
All right, guys. So today I'm super excited because we have my creator client, Cyntia, with us today. Cynthia's been crushing it recently. She's got some really cool projects in the works. And I'm just excited to talk to you kind of about your journey, where you've come as a creator, both in terms of your business, your mindset, kind of how you've approached clients and all that kind of stuff. And hopefully, some people can learn from your journey as well. I know you're a very inspiring person. I love when we talk on our coaching calls. Like I always leave like so inspired. I think our audience is going to get a whole lot of value out of this. And I can't wait. So thank you for being on, Cyntia.
Great. Thank you so much for having me over. I'm excited to be here as well.
Yeah. So I guess we'll just start at the beginning. So could you tell the people a little bit about who you are, what you do, what kind of photography work, how long you've been doing it, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah. So I'm a commercial photographer based out of the San Francisco Bay Area. Right now, I've been mostly focusing on food simply because it kind of came into my world unexpectedly. I quit my corporate job in tech last year. So it was a big, scary jump to take, considering I have a family to support. And I've been building a business from scratch because I actually come from, doing family photography. But I knew that was not going to sustain my new life. So I decided to go into trying to tap into a bigger bracket of revenue through approaching businesses instead. So that's why, to commercial photography. And, that has been my journey, and it started last year. And then you came into my life this year. And that's basically what... I'm building from scratch something and following my heart as I go. So
very cool. So how long have you been doing photography just in general?
I've been a photographer probably for the past 12 years. I've self-taught, I started kind of like, started with my kids, kind of like that was my world. And, I kind of evolved to do some branding photography. A few years back, I did a collaborative project with a friend of mine, and we published a cookbook actually in March of this year. And that kind of shifted the path of how, everything changed because of that single event. I realized that even though I love photographing people, and I believe I'm very good at it, I have a gift with food photography, natural life food photography. So I'm kind of been, trying to build a business from that gift that I've got.
Totally. Yeah. You got some really good stuff, by the way. Like if anyone's watching this, they definitely need to check out your Instagram page. We'll link it down below so they can check it out. And your website is awesome. Yeah. You've gotten some opportunities to work with some really cool people, some awesome restaurants and all kinds of stuff.
Like I said, I want to, even though food is sort of what is coming into my life at the moment, my ultimate dream, really, because I love traveling so much, is to become a travel photographer. However, what I really want to niche on is luxury travel experiences. And given that my situation, I kind of have to be rooted in the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area at the moment, the first luxury type of experience that come into my mind at the moment, is that world of boutique resorts in Napa, Monterey, Carmel area, and as well as, food experiences, culinary experiences. And I believe that, every single person in this world has a gift, and they have, creativity inside them. And I can help serve as a vehicle to showcase what they're really good at. So there's something very unique about each one of us. Every single one of us, there's a very unique gift. And I love to showcase that. And you have helped me, establish that as well. And I love that about working with you. What is that, unique proposition. So, I bring in creativity, intuition, all the, how to attract the clients with beautiful photography, and you bring in that side of the strategy, structure, know-how. And I believe that has been instrumental in my growth in the past few months. So,
Wow.
yes.
Very cool. Well, I'm so glad to be a part of your journey because you have such amazing work, such an awesome heart as well, and you can bless so many people just even now with your work and just how you carry yourself around them, and people are really inspired by it. So that's really cool. So let's talk a little bit about. So you were doing family portraits, and then you started to get kind of into commercial photography, but did you run into some kind of problems with the commercial realm, or how did you find it compared to just portraits?
Well, I'll be honest. When I started, I knew I needed a new website. And in order to get a new website to showcase the work that I really wanted to attract, I needed to create imagery of that type, because selling family photography wasn't going to get me there. So, then then it came me reaching out to people that could create for me to photograph so I could showcase in my website. So it's a work. I mean, it takes time to build that new portfolio. I mean, it's taking time to build that new portfolio for me. But at one time, and at a certain time, it's like, okay, when does this shift? And then you start bringing the money in, because you can be collaborating forever. And that was actually something that really resonated with me in your value proposition, helping other creators, is that in this world, we have so much of that. It's the exchange of the trade, collaboration. You get the free meal, and you photograph my food, or you get the free hotel stay. But at what time in your journey do you stop doing that? Value your time, value your work, value your talent, start bringing in money that can sustain that life as a content creator, as a, in my case, as, a web presence creator as well. So that's what it comes down to.
So you felt like you were in a position where you could do the free jobs and you could do the collaborations and stuff, but it was getting the higher paid jobs that you felt like you had some trouble with?
Correct. Yes. And I didn't know
Gotcha.
how. I'll be honest. I just didn't know how. And I remember, I went away around September. It was my birthday. I remember very clearly. And I went into a little retreat. I went into a beach house by myself for a few days, because it was coming into the last quarter of my 2023. And I went into like kind of journal, think a strategy, how am I going to start making the money? Like this had got, something needs to shift, something needs to stop. And I remember just like, writing and asking, like, I want the right people to come into my life. I want right opportunities. And I swear, like next day, I get this like ad from you. It's incredible, like how things align. It's incredible. You remember, like you showed up, and I really don't pay attention to ads. Like I was doing the social media wheel thing, and I was kind of getting sick of it. But you showed up, and I think that what made me really want to work with you was like, you said something like type something, and I forget, type, and I started a DM. And then I had a question at the time, because I had been on a cruise to Tahiti, and I had this beautiful image. I brought my camera, and I said, like, I'm gonna bring my camera and see what happens. And I got these beautiful images, and I sent it out to the social media through a DM to this, the luxury cruise line.
Yeah.
And she replied to me, like, send me a media kit. And I remember I asked you about that. And you gave me very, very specific advice. Like, this is what you should do. Like, do. Like, we're not engaged in a coaching. We're not getting engaged in a mentorship. You just met me. I just typed in something. And just from that exchange, you gave me so much value. It's like,
wow.
June. It's like, and then that got me intrigued. It really did. And then another thing that I think that I went into wanting to work with you is that I am a firm believer that you need to embody the person you want to become today. You don't wait tomorrow. I want to lose 10 pounds, or I want to whatever. You need to do it today. You work in your actions today, because you need to, like, the embodiment practice is so essential for our own transformations as entrepreneurs. So I said, if I want to call myself, a luxury experience photographer, how, like, I want to be that person today. So I'm gonna hire somebody that knows, that has paved the road already, and then knows how, then that can guide me into this new path. And that was, between that exchange, me asking for the right people to show up, and then me wanting to, embody that person that wanna, that's where I'm heading. But I wanted to become that today. Those three things align, and then I decided to sign up with you immediately. Another thing that is very, very important, and I think this needs to be taught in school, is decision making. When you're in business, you need to make decisions like this. If you go to, like, I live in Silicon Valley. There's tons of, like, tech executive, all the biggest tech companies in the world are here. Those people don't, they don't go into DMs like, is it okay if no? They make decisions quick. Is that the right person for you? Mind you, it's important to do a due diligence. If you're, like, in acquisition to another company, you need to run a due diligence. I get that. However, there are times that sometimes we just overthink. And we need, am I going to be getting a new website? Yes or no? Yes. Am I signing up with this mentor? Yes or no? Just so there's only two. I believe there's only two answers to things. It's either hell yes or fuck no.
Yeah. No, totally.
What do you
Absolutely.
So just, like, ask yourself, what is your heart telling you? Is it this way or the other? Decision making.
Yeah.
And I'm even teaching this to my kids. Really, like, people, like, what should I study? Like, coming out of high school, like, people are living in a cloud, and it's because they don't know how to make decision. And that's so important in your growth, especially as entrepreneurs. Anyways, I talk so much, but that's what I have.
No, that was incredible. Like, I honestly, that's something that we talk about in the program, not as much with you because you were, like, incredible at making those decisions right off the bat. But a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with making the decisions, myself included, when I was first starting, because I would overanalyze and try to live as a perfectionist, and I would be afraid that if I made this decision, it wouldn't be perfect, or I would fail at it, and then I would feel rejected or whatever it might be. So it was really about me trying to avoid being rejected or avoid failing. But the fact is, like, whenever you do something new, you're probably going to fail at some point. It's just how fast can you fail so that you can start to succeed, faster.
Yeah, there's always a learning in failing. In failing is actually, it's like how you see things. In failure, there's growth. If you don't fail, how are you going to learn? So
Absolutely.
you either succeed, yay, but I believe there's so much more value sometimes in just failing, in knocking doors and being turned back, like no, getting no's, and then you going to that situation, like, what did I do wrong? How can I do this better? And then you bypass. And I think there's so much, and then people have, like, sort of like the wrong perception, like, I don't want to be failing, I'm just getting no, and saying yes to free collabs, because they're afraid to value their work, and there's a lot of that in today's world, and I think we need to make a shift. And I part of the reason you said, you're so inspiring, is because I really, really believe that, if you show through your own actions to other people, that's leadership. That is leadership, right? You can then influence others. You don't influence them just by showing, like, I'm in a beach in Tahiti. No, I'm influencing them from actually living the life of my dreams. And this is one of my strongest why, and one of the things that I, if I go back to the root of why I became an entrepreneur, is establishing my why, and my why is to inspire others, live the life of their dreams by doing that myself.
Absolutely.
and sometimes we just need to go to the basics. What is that? Why? Like, go back to that, because there's, and I know you work with so many incredible. You're an amazing. The drone is incredible. I don't have all those skill sets, but I have the drive, and not only that, but I take actions toward my dreams every single day of my life, and I think that's so important because things don't show up for you. You're not going to show up into somebody's program, be the mentor, and if they don't put the work, it's not like they're going to make money right away. It doesn't happen that way. You have to put in the work. If you hire a personal trainer, unless you're lifting that yourself, your body's not going to change. If you hire a nutritional coach, unless you like cut down in the way you eat and eat more fiber, whatever, you're not going to change your body. You have to show up. You have to put in the work. And having the guidance is great. Having somebody to be accountable for you, to provide that is great. But there's also that big component in hiring somebody like yourself.
That's huge. That's a huge thing, because I think some people will get into a course or they'll hire a coach or whatever it might be, and they just think it's the magic pill that as soon as they buy the thing, then all of a sudden their problems are done. But I mean, you're a perfect example of, you made a lot of shifts in your business and just terms of how you're approaching it, how you're positioning your offers, how you're even pricing yourself, and all that kind of stuff. So maybe we can even get into what are those tangible things that you started doing once we started working together, that you were able to start seeing brands actually interested in paying you, and not just paying you, but paying you like pretty high rates, really.
One of the things that is a simple shift, but it's important. And I remember getting in a call with you, and you were very nice the way you approach it, but it's like, why do you have family photographer in your website if you're not want to be doing that? And it's true. It's like, that is true. And I'm thinking like, oh, maybe that's just another source of revenue, Christmas is coming, mini session, blah, 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 like that thing. But like, I don't want to be doing that work anymore. Like, I'll do it for people that I love. And it's a group of families that I will always serve because I just love it so much. But the reality is that I really want to go for big brands, right? So why should I stay with that? So that went away. Another thing that I think you really, really helped me with is establishing the way I presented my proposals. And you have, for somebody that is starting out and have no idea what the hell they're doing, you have a very great, I believe, tool set in your dashboard. Is amazing. The way you have everything organized, like these are the things that you need, is amazing. And then you had a proposal template that showcases how you present to clients. I didn't know how to do that myself. I really didn't. However, I didn't copy yours. I made my own in a very beautiful way. So I took in your concept, but I spin it and made it my own. And I am kind of proud of the way I turned that around to my clients, because it's my voice. It's not your voice. And I think that's important as well. It's not just copy pasting what you have. If you don't have anything in place, it's great to have that. But I love that I was able to create something that was my own take on how I present myself to clients. So that was really important as well. I guess my third shift that I had when I was working with you is just knowing my worth, because even landing my most recent commercial account with your help was really, I was lowballing it so badly. Like, it really was. Like, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I didn't know how much to charge. No idea whatsoever. And thanks to you, it became something amazing. So those, I believe, those are little shifts, but they were key in my transformation. And this was a very, I think, amazing transformation. And it's because you pushed me, every time you showed up, we sat together, like, and I just love how you have like, okay, I have an idea. This is what you should like. It's just amazing because I start talking and it's like, okay, I have an idea. And when you say that, it's like gold. And I just
Then I just start rambling, and it might be great. It might just like not make any sense, but yeah,
never
that'll be
an idea.
something.
I just love it when that happens because like, oh, I didn't think of that. That's brilliant. And then I go and do my thing because it just doesn't stay, but it doesn't stay at that. It's like, it's like even showing up. I've done so much more of that. I actually got off social media to do more in-person networking, and that has been such a great shift. It's not that I still will do the social media as a social media manager, but I think it's important to really redefine your priorities going into what is that thing that is going to bring you the money? Like, what is that thing? And for some people, mind you, they're great at their following and showcasing what they do, and they get leads through that, but it wasn't the case for me. So that was a shift also, like reestablish like, what is working for me, what is not, redefining those things. So right now my social media is mostly a way where it's like I call it like a little mini portfolio, like people can, because I go into events or, I go talk to clients, like, what is your Instagram? People go there. So you need to have a very curated work to showcase what you do to clients. Of course, to me, it's more of a tool. But anyways, everybody works differently. That's the beauty of this.
Yeah,
Nobody's the same.
exactly.
And that's it.
Yeah, I think that was actually something that you kind of came into the program when we first started working together. You were posting pretty often, and you were trying to almost use that as a strategy, the social media part, to get clients, right? Which is like, that's totally a way people can do it. I've done it myself. Lots of people have, and it definitely works. But it's definitely also more of a long-term solution and a long-term branding play. So if we're spending all our time just posting and trying to be in engagement groups and all these different things, then, you waste 2-3 hours of your day on that, and you might not see the results for another 3 years. Now, is it still worth investing? Yeah, probably so. But if you're trying to get a client tomorrow, then there's other ways to do it. Like you said, you just started showing up to restaurants or talking to chefs or, all kinds of different things. Or, you mentioned the proposal you made. It was stellar. It was awesome. Like, honestly, I think it's better than mine. But you did a great job just positioning yourself as somebody who can help them. And it's not all about Cyntia. It's not, look at what I can do and all this kind of stuff. It's more like, yes, this is my work, but here's how it'll help you. And I think that's what transformed your offer in such a different way. So I'm curious, what do you feel is the difference between maybe how you were positioning yourself before, where you were getting more of like the free collab stuff, versus how you are starting to do it now?
Yes. The biggest shift, also learned it with you. I learned that it wasn't about me. It was about how can I serve. And that's important, because I believe that I have a very unique way to do business, and people like being in my energy, and I try to kind of market that a little bit, like put myself in. However, if I'm pitching to companies, they don't care about that. They want to know what is the value I bring to them.
Right.
So once I shifted that, and I think that has helped me incredibly, because now what I do, I study the client. I do, I'm very strategic as to who I want to work with. And I try to see, this is what they need and this is how I can serve them. Once you have that very clear, then you can come to them and say, hey, this is how, and then you engage them in that way instead of, like sending cold pitch, but you need to really tap into what exactly is that thing that they need, that they don't have, that you can help them with. And that's key. But that takes research, that takes, knowing your client to the T. Who is my client? Who am I serving? What are they like? And it takes work to really define that avatar. And I think you help people. Like I had I'm way more clear, ideal client working with you. Like I kind of had an idea, but like I'm like laser focused on a type of client. And like my type, I'm going for luxury experiences. that's my thing, what is that, people in this world, even coming to Christmas, like the stuff and the lines and people are getting stuff. I am so into like live life, have experiences like that
Mm-hmm.
it reaches you in such a beautiful way. And there's so many beautiful businesses out there that do that for people. They're like,
Mm.
so, they just they get to your soul in a beautiful way. Like you come back from these retreats or vacations or cruises or hotels or for restaurants, like, oh my god, like that, like wow, like oh, like that's an experience that I want to like, help people. I want to tell their stories. I want to get to like help them get to people. And I think that's I just find that with you. So thank you so much, Nash. And you're so grateful you're in my life. Like you have no idea. Just been an angel for me, truly. And I'm so grateful for this experience with you.
Of course. Well, thank you. Thank you for being you and for being so inspiring and putting in the work and getting the results already. And like that's small compared to what you're going to be doing. I totally believe that for you. And like Justin, what you mentioned right here, you're going after experiences because it's what aligned with what you believe. But when you speak from a place of like, this is what I believe, this is what I'm truly passionate about, then you can start to speak the language of the client because the types of clients you're serving right now speak a very different language and care a lot about a lot different things than where you were when we first started, where it was more generalized, right? So when you can speak directly to what they want and you know what they want ahead of time, it just becomes so much easier to have those conversations, make those connections. They start to see more of your personality, why you care genuinely about what they do versus just getting a paycheck, and then it just becomes a much better business relationship in general, I think.
Right. I believe that as well. And it is like yeah, there's something that I think you posted today that really resonated with me, and it has to do with that. It's like what is a unique proposition? How can you differentiate yourself? How can you be unique in what you do? Speak your client's language, and I think that's so important.
Definitely. Of course. So I want to get into it a little bit because you just landed a really, really cool project with a beauty brand, and we're working on some other ones too. We won't talk about that until those are official, but yeah. So you just landed this project with the beauty brand. Can you walk us through a little bit about kind of what the project was beforehand, and then what we had talked about in terms of pricing, offers, how to position yourself, and all that kind of stuff?
Right. So it started, it was through somebody that I worked with before. Grateful for that relationship. Goes to say networking is important in what we do. And, it basically, like, the company had a vision to showcase, a very unique type of product to the market. But when it comes to beauty products, there's so much competition, right? So what I love about the owner of the company is that she's truly invested in, first of all, making things right, hiring the right people, hiring, like she surrounded herself with really, um, talented people, really. And ever since, and I remember she reached out to me through, because of an Instagram post. I actually posted a picture. I went to Marseille last fall, and I worked with a chef, and I took pictures of a zucchini. Literally, it was like 3 rolls of zucchini. And I remember she said, if she can photograph zucchini like that, like, I can't imagine what she would do with my products.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
How cool. Yeah.
Yes. And so anyway, so I initially had an idea of, there's some products, say, and then I photograph them in studio, and that's it. But quite frankly, the project evolved to be a monster of a project in terms of, like, they're actually established a big e-commerce website, and there's gonna be a lifestyle shoot with models, with the some video content. I'm into like hero videos, and video has become so important in what we do as content creators because people's attention span is the lasts as much as the attention of a goldfish. There's actually science behind it. I went and did research, and it's a truth.
Wow. I believe it.
Because let's do this, right? And then
Yep.
how can you engage people, right? And one of the ways is actually having amazing video content. So that's part of what they wanted included in the package. So when I come to you, I really didn't know, like, how do I price reels? How do I price a package of reels? How do I price gifts? Like, I had no idea. I really have no idea. So with your guidance, I crafted a very unique, luxurious proposal of several components, assets, your deliverables, like you say, all the assets that are going to be created for them to have the most amazing launch of their brand ever. And I'm so proud that they chose me this. I'm so proud that they're so invested in creating beautiful web presence content. And I can't wait what we can create together for them. And really, and another principle that I live by is that I genuinely care about seeing my clients succeed. And I think we share that.
Absolutely.
I remember when I told you about this, landing this account, something that will always keep in my heart. And it's like you got teary-eyed. Like,
I'm tearing up right now.
it's like, that was so beautiful, Nash.
Aww.
So beautiful. And because that means that you care. And and then we probably are working together because we share that about each other. We care about seeing our clients succeed. And there's so much beauty in that. And when you put in that beautiful energy into like seeing your clients succeed, that all comes 10 times back to you. And that's the truth. So working from a place of, how can you serve? I want you to succeed. I'm just going to come here and just press, push you to come out to the world in the most beautiful way. That's when magics happen. That's when you get seen by other people, you get other brands' attentions, you get, you start working with those, and then you start replicating that same model with other brands. And that's another part that is very important in the mindset part in section is of your brain. Once you tell your subconscious mind that you were able to do the thing, you prove yourself to your mind. So it becomes easier to do the next one. It's like it's almost like, habit stacking. When they say it, you get up every day to do your walk, or it's the same thing. Like, it happens even in these type of things. So now I prove myself that I can do this. So I'm just gonna shoot for that type of work or more, not, and that's amazing.
100%.
You.
Absolutely. Because you went from like people wanting to give you free collabs to closing a multi-5-figure deal. And now that you know that you can do that, it's like, well, the sky's the limit. Why can't I do it to everyone else, right?
Exactly.
But
I broke ceiling, and that's amazing.
Exactly. You made, like, just in that last like 3 minutes, you said so many underrated things. Like, the first thing about the mindset of, just thinking you can actually do it, now that you've proven to yourself you can do it, then it's like, well, I can go do it for every single brand because now you know the framework. Now you know how to position yourself well so that people actually want to respond. So that's the first thing. But the second thing you said about actually caring about client results is like, that's one of the most underrated things that no one talks about in this industry is like, if you can get clients results there, first of all, you get a case study that you can use. Second of all, you can just like get referrals from the company because they're like, yeah, this photographer actually cared about me. They actually got amazing results. You should hire them. And then it's like you get networked with all these other people who also have budgets to pay you. And like, then you start to build a business off of doing a good job. It's like
doing a good job and caring for others.
Exactly. Yeah. And there's a difference between doing a good job in terms of stellar photography, which you have, versus doing a good job in terms of actually caring about them making a return on their investment. Like when we talked about how to position your offer of like, we're charging this much per photo and all they have to do is sell 2 or 3 products to make a return on it. Like that starts to click, right?
Huge. That was huge. And it's a tough initial investment for anybody starting out a company. However, once you get them set, there's only gain from them for them from that moment on. And that's true. Like I never saw it that way until I talked to you. And it's, that there's so much value in that because then I can see the work that I do with different eyes.
Right. Yeah. Another thing that I think was really interesting in terms of how you laid out your offer is that it's not just like I'm doing this many pictures and this many videos and like here you go, but you have things like strategy sessions, you have like all kinds of other little add-ons that make it so much more valuable, and you solve for every problem the brand has, like getting attention. You just talked about making reels because reels are what go viral, so we're getting people's attention, nurturing that attention so people actually care about the brand, and then conversion assets for the website, and like bringing it all together in a cohesive package where the brand doesn't have to think. They don't have to go hire 5 other photographers or like come up with a strategy because you're literally doing it for them because you know.
Yeah. And then, part of the ways I'm trying to differentiate my work, and I tell people I am not a photographer, I'm an entrepreneur. And
Yeah.
it's just trying to adding that part of brand strategy into every session that I work with, like every client that I work with. Because, I tell this over and over again, anybody can take a good picture. Like there's so many incredibly beautiful photographers, like anybody can do that. But what can you do that sets you apart? What is that thing that makes you different? And in my case, it's just that adding that piece of brand strategy. And I think in our last session, you said something along the lines of content growth, or growth
Growth
creator. And
creator.
I love
Yeah.
that. Yes. I love that word actually. So anyway, so those are the little nuggets that even if I don't use that right now today, I can incorporate that, slip it in into my next proposal, or like the way I present myself to a client in the future. Like those are things that will stay with me because whatever interaction that we have today doesn't stay at that. It's a knowledge that the investment in knowledge, and I think that I talked to you about that, is so important. Nobody can take that away from you. And it's compound in your brain. It's compounded. It's like, starting a retirement account where you're 20 versus when you're 45. It's huge. Or when you're 50. It just compounded exponentially. So it's so important for people to, you know, invest in these type of things. Entrepreneurs, content creators, like just knowledge is so key. And then even if, they don't want to go into like, you provide so much value with you through your YouTube channel, through your Instagram. Like I remember actually before I hired you, like between those 2 days, I went to some of your reels and like started taking notes because whatever you had to say, like that was value to me. And I remember like writing like, you know, things that are effective, things that you can implement, things that you can do, change in the way you do business right now. That's just knowledge. That's knowledge. And it's so important for people to invest in that. It's like the most important, I believe, you can do. Like,
Well, I totally agree with you. I'm all about investing in mentors and coaches and stuff. I know you are as well. So whenever you can find someone who is one step ahead of you that can just share some knowledge, it just cuts off years of you trying to trial and error and figure it out. And I believe you would have figured it out at one point, but it may have taken a few years as opposed to a few months. And
yes,
that's really the value of hiring a coach or a mentor or program or whatever it is. I guess that said, let's let you drop some knowledge on some people. What do you think? What would be your number one piece of advice to somebody that's maybe in what your position was 6 months ago, where you're getting a lot of free work? Your work is definitely good enough to be paid top dollar for, but you feel like you're hitting a wall in terms of people just not wanting to pay you, not seeing your worth. Or you feel like maybe you just have to take on all kinds of little cheaper jobs to be able to compensate for for living. What would you say your number one piece of advice for someone in that position would be?
well, I would say know your worth. And I think a lot of people in this industry struggle with feeling that they're not good enough to charge, and it's something that a lot of us suffer. Is that that imposter syndrome? Like, am I good enough to be charging the big bucks to that company? So knowing your worth is key. Having that inner knowing that what you do is valuable to somebody else is so important. And my second recommendation alongside with that is just having somebody that can guide you in that process. Because I had, an inner knowing, like I know my work is good, but I just didn't know how to get to the clients. I didn't know how to pitch. I didn't know how to talk to them. I didn't know how to. And so those two things together have been instrumental in, the evolution of my business these past few months.
Yeah, no, I think what you said is really good. Understanding your worth. And a lot of people talk about knowing your worth. And it's one thing to like think you know your worth, but it's a whole nother thing to be able to put together a package that's actually worth what you think you're worth. So that
Exactly.
brands understand that you're worth it. Cause you could say you're worth $100,000 or whatever, but until a brand sees that, then you're not, because they're not giving you any money. So
Yes, and I
yeah.
think there's a little. I think it's worth saying that with commercial photography, it's a little hard to have a perception of what the prices of things are, because retail photography, boudoir, portrait, weddings, that kind of work, it's work that is used for private use. You know how much a headshot ranges. You know how much a wedding ranges. Different from commercial photography, I believe there's a little bit of um, an unknown gray area. The value, and I think it goes back to what we talked about a little earlier. The value is not your $250 an hour or your $200 per reel or your hero video for $500. The value in commercial photography is what the company, how much they sell based on the content that you provided to them. So it's completely different. Commercial photography is any type of photography that is used with the sole purpose of marketing, or, a company selling or to sell a service or a product. So at the end of the day, you can sell to, a food truck and a picture of a food to a food truck, and they can only get to whoever gets to them on the weekends. Or you can take a picture of a high-end Michelin star rated restaurant, and they can be selling their tickets for $450 a meal per person. So understanding who you're working with can certainly helps you determine what that range in value is for the offers and the service that you're providing. And also, you know, then it goes into the potential of having somebody that guides you, like yourself, because I didn't know how much to charge before. So I think that's what I would have to say on that side.
Yeah, no, it totally makes sense. I think you did a really good job of explaining, like, there's in portrait photography, your value is showing up. It's your time. It's, I'm here for this amount of time, and that's the value, because they hang up the picture on their wall, or whatever it might be. Whereas when we're talking brands, like you said, it could be worth $100 to them, or it could be worth multi-million dollars. They could be putting it on a billboard. They could be running a massive ad campaign. And if you're only charging $3,000 for that, then like you got shorted quite a bit if their brand is making 10 million off of it, right? So at the end of the day, it's an investment, and there's ways that you can set yourself up so that you actually get paid in accordance to how well something does. But it's just something that's not talked about, unfortunately.
Right, right. And
So
I think that's important. Then it comes a piece that we talked about last time we met up, is that I don't think I belong to so many different communities, like Facebook communities, forums for photographers. Like I had an issue with my camera and I go to and I ask somebody, or like wedding, portrait, second shooters, whatever. But we don't really have that in the commercial space. So I think it's important, maybe, this conversation can inspire people to come together to create a community where we can bounce ideas off each other. I think that's so important. because, I can help us all grow together.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm totally on board with that. And that's something that we're going to be implementing into the program as well. Cause I think you really helped open my eyes to like how important that is. So yeah, that's something that we're going to do here very soon. So awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining, Cyntia. This was a super valuable conversation. I think people are going to be inspired by you. Where can they check you out and see some of your work?
Thank you. Well, you can find me at cynthiaappsphotography.com, my website, and Cyntia Apps Photography on my Instagram. And find me on Facebook. And I think that's about it, because I'm just trying to keep it contained when it comes to media. But yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Cool. Well, we'll link all that stuff below on this video if you want to check out Cynthia's work. She has amazing stuff. Definitely follow her. And thanks for coming on.
Thanks
and I'll see you guys in the next episode.